The market surrounding the majestic Taal Lake used to be a hive of activity, especially in the early mornings. The air would be thick with the calls of vendors and the fresh, briny scent of the day's catch. Here, the star of the show has always been the tawilis, a small, silvery fish found nowhere else on Earth. It's a source of pride and, more importantly, a source of livelihood for thousands of families. People from all over would travel just to buy these famous fish alongside other freshwater favorites like tilapia and malaputo. The bustling trade was a daily rhythm, a reliable pulse that sustained the communities along the lake's shores for generations. It was a simple, dependable way of life. But today an unsettling quiet has fallen over these once lively markets. The usual crowds of customers have thinned to a mere trickle, and a palpable sense of unease hangs in the air. Baskets brimming with unsold fish now sit under the sun, a heartbreaking sight for the vendors who watch their precious earnings potentially go to waste. The reason for this sudden change is not a natural disaster like a volcanic eruption or a powerful typhoon. Instead, it is a story, a chilling rumor that has spread like wildfire, poisoning the public's perception of the very waters that have provided for them for so long. Fear has become the new commodity, and it is driving customers away in droves. The drop in sales has been sharp and devastating. Imagine, the price of the prized tawilis has plummeted to an all-time low. What once sold for around 250 pesos per kilogram now struggles to fetch even 100. This drastic price drop is a direct reflection of the public's fear. People have suddenly stopped buying fish from Taal Lake, worried about what might be lurking beneath its serene surface. The stories they have heard on social media and through word of mouth have created a powerful stigma, one that is proving difficult to overcome. For the local community, this isn't just about business, it's about their identity and survival being threatened by a narrative they cannot control. The fear is rooted in a disturbing claim that has captured the nation's attention, a story that intertwines the placid lake with a dark and unresolved crime. This isn't about the quality of the water or the health of the fish themselves in the traditional sense. It's about a deeply unsettling idea that has taken hold of the public's imagination, that the fish might have consumed something horrifying. This has led to a widespread boycott, not out of malice, but out of a genuine, if unsubstantiated, concern for safety. The silence in the markets is a testament to the power of a story to change behavior and cripple an entire local economy virtually overnight. The source of this widespread fear is the shocking claim made by a whistleblower named Juli Patidongan, also known as Totoy. He is one of the accused in a grim case involving the disappearance of several Sabungeros, or cockfighting enthusiasts, who went missing between 2021 and 2022. According to his testimony, the bodies of these missing men were allegedly disposed of by being dumped into the deep waters of Taal Lake. This explosive revelation, made in June 2025, immediately sent shockwaves across the country. The story connected a serene, natural landmark with a dark criminal underworld, creating a narrative that was both terrifying and sensational. The news spread with incredible speed, amplified by social media and messaging apps. What began as a legal testimony quickly morphed into a public horror story. People began to imagine the worst, and soon the rumor took on a life of its own. The claim that the bodies were in the lake led to a horrifying, albeit scientifically unlikely, conclusion in many people's minds: that the fish, particularly the tawilis and tilapia, had been feeding on human remains. This gruesome thought was enough to turn stomachs and make consumers reject the lake's bounty entirely, despite a lack of any concrete evidence to support this specific fear. The story was just too powerful to ignore. In response to the whistleblower's claims, authorities, including the Philippine Coast Guard, launched retrieval operations in Taal Lake. Highly skilled technical divers were dispatched to search the lake's depths, hoping to find evidence that could either confirm or deny the allegations. These search efforts were widely covered by the media, and every update or lack thereof only added to the public's anxiety. The sight of official search teams scouring the lake seemed to lend credibility to the rumors, reinforcing the idea that something terrible had indeed happened there. For many, the ongoing investigation was proof enough that there was a real reason to be cautious. This mystery has gripped the public imagination because it touches upon primal fears. The idea of an unseen contamination, something hidden beneath a beautiful surface, is a powerful and unsettling concept. The Sabungeros case was already a topic of national interest, a puzzle that had remained unsolved for years. Linking it to a food source that is a staple for so many people created a perfect storm of fear, suspicion, and sensationalism. The whispers that started from a single testimony have now become a deafening roar, drowning out the voices of reason and causing immense real-world harm to an entire community that depends on the lake's good name. For the fisherfolk of Taal, the lake is their lifeblood. They rise before the sun, casting their nets into the cool, dark waters with hopes of a good catch that will feed their families and send their children to school. Their connection to the lake is profound. It is a relationship built on generations of tradition, hard work, and respect for nature. They know the lake's currents, its moods, and its cycles. The recent events, however, have thrown their lives into turmoil. Suddenly, the fish they catch with great effort have become nearly worthless. The fear spreading among consumers means that their daily catch is now met with suspicion instead of demand. The economic impact has been immediate and severe. Fish vendors in places like the Taal market have shared heartbreaking stories of their struggles. One vendor recounted how her fish, which would normally be sold out by midday, now remains in her stall until late afternoon, often having to be sold at a massive loss or taken home. They try to reassure skeptical customers, explaining that their fish are farmed in pens, not caught from the deep, open waters where the alleged dumping took place, but their pleas often fall on deaf ears. The fear is too deeply ingrained, and no amount of personal assurance seems to be enough to convince a worried buyer. This crisis is not just about lost income, it is about mounting debts and the fear of hunger. Many fisherfolk operate on small margins, often taking out loans for fuel, boat maintenance and supplies. With their primary source of income cut off, they're struggling to make ends meet. The situation is made worse by the timing, as they are already dealing with the challenges brought by the southwest monsoon or habagat, which can make fishing difficult and dangerous. The combination of bad weather and a collapsed market has created a desperate situation, leaving many families wondering how they will survive the coming weeks and months. Fisherfolk advocacy groups, such as the Pambansang Lakas ng Kilusang Mamamalakaya ng Pilipinas or Pamalakaya, have voiced the community's desperation. They are calling for urgent government intervention to prevent a full-blown economic and humanitarian crisis. The fisherfolk feel abandoned, caught in a crossfire between a sensational crime story and public panic. They are the silent victims of a mystery they have nothing to do with. All they want is to be able to fish and sell their catch, to continue the simple life they have always known. Their plea is simple: do not let fear and rumors destroy our livelihood. Amidst the swirling rumors and public panic, government agencies and scientific experts have been working to provide clarity and reassurance. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFR, has been at the forefront, repeatedly issuing public statements to allay fears. The agency has assured everyone that fish from Taal Lake remain safe to eat. BFR conducts regular and rigorous monitoring of the lake's water quality, and their tests have not shown any evidence to support the frightening claims circulating online. They emphasize that there is no scientific basis for the fear that fish have been contaminated in the manner being described by the public. The authorities have been clear. The search operation in the lake is a police matter aimed at investigating a crime and finding potential evidence. It is not an indication that the lake's entire ecosystem has been compromised. Experts explain that even if the worst-case scenario were true, the vastness of Taal Lake, which covers over 234 square kilometers, would mean any localized contamination would be massively diluted. Furthermore, fish are not natural scavengers of human remains. These scientific facts, however, have struggled to compete with the emotional and sensational nature of the rumors, making it a difficult battle for authorities to win the public's trust back. To help the struggling fisherfolk, groups like Pamalakaya have proposed concrete solutions. They are urging the Department of Agriculture and BFR to step in directly. One of their key suggestions is for the government to buy the fish catch directly from the local fishers at a fair pre-crisis price. This would provide immediate financial relief and ensure that their hard work does not go to waste. This direct purchase program could then be used to supply government institutions or sell the fish in other markets with clear information about its safety helping to rebuild consumer confidence through official channels. It is a practical step to mitigate the economic damage. Ultimately, overcoming this crisis requires a collective effort. The public needs to rely on facts from credible sources like BFAR, not on unverified stories spread on social media. It is crucial to separate the criminal investigation from the livelihood of thousands of innocent people. Supporting the Fisherfolk of Taal during this difficult time is not just an act of charity, it is an act of solidarity. By trusting the science and continuing to buy their products, we can help restore their dignity and ensure that the rich fishing traditions of Taal Lake continue for generations to come. The silver tawilis is a national treasure, and so are the people who bring it from the water to our tables.